Hey everyone, and welcome back. We're diving deep into a topic that's sparked a lot of debate
Oh, yeah,
and fueled some pretty passionate fandoms.
definitely.
The SnyderVerse.
Hmm.
Whether you're a diehard DC fan or maybe you were just intrigued by that whole hashtag release the Snyder Cut movement,
Yeah,
or if you're like me and just love exploring those what-if alternate universes in film,
right.
this one's for you.
For sure.
Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to The Other Opinion for more deep dives just like this one. Let's talk about what exactly constitutes the SnyderVerse,
Yeah.
for anyone who might be new to this whole concept.
So the SnyderVerse, it refers to those interconnected DC Extended Universe films that Zack Snyder directed.
Okay.
Specifically, we're talking Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and of course, Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Gotcha.
These films, they established a really distinct visual style and this thematic focus,
Yeah.
It's a darker, more mythical take on the DC universe.
And that unique vision is what really sets it apart, right? It's
Okay.
not just about adapting comic book panels.
Yeah.
It's about reinterpreting these iconic characters and their stories
Mhm.
for a modern audience.
Absolutely.
Now hit that subscribe button if you agree with that.
Snyder taps into those ancient myths
Yeah.
and epic narratives that have resonated with humanity for centuries.
Hmm.
He elevates these superhero stories
Yeah.
to something grander,
Yeah.
something that explores the nature of power, responsibility, and what it truly means to be human,
Yeah.
even when you're an alien with godlike powers.
That really comes through in how he portrays Superman.
Yeah,
Especially in Man of Steel.
right.
It's not just about a guy who can fly and shoot lasers from his eyes.
Uh-huh, right.
We see him wrestling with his identity,
Mm.
his purpose,
Mm.
the burden of being a symbol of hope in a world that often seems hopeless.
Yeah.
It's thought-provoking stuff.
Absolutely, and that's what makes it so compelling.
Yeah.
He's not just this flawless, invincible icon,
Yeah.
He's vulnerable. He makes mistakes,
Hmm.
and he faces consequences for his actions. That internal conflict, that struggle to reconcile his extraordinary abilities with his human morality,
Yeah.
it makes him incredibly relatable.
It does.
What do you think about this? Let us know in the comments below.
It's a far cry from the traditional bright and cheery Superman we're used to seeing.
Right.
And you know what? It resonated with a lot of people.
It did.
I mean, look at the hashtag release the Snyder Cut movement.
Yeah.
There wasn't just a bunch of fans clamoring for a director's cut.
Right.
It was a testament to the power of a collective vision and a belief in Snyder's unique approach.
It was a truly unprecedented phenomenon.
It was.
That level of fan mobilization and dedication,
Yeah,
it speaks volumes about the impact that the Snyderverse had on audiences.
for sure.
It clearly tapped into something deeper,
Yeah,
something that resonated with people on a personal level.
absolutely.
Don't forget to share this episode with your friends and start a conversation.
Yeah, get those discussions going.
Yeah.
It really makes you wonder, could something like that happen again? Could the Snyderverse, against all odds, find a way to continue?
It's a good question.
What do you think? Let us know in the comments below.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We want to know.
Absolutely. It's a complex question.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is.
The Snyderverse faced, a lot of obstacles.
Yeah.
Studio interference, behind-the-scenes drama. But the landscape of entertainment is changing. And there are definitely avenues for a comeback,
Yeah.
especially with the rise of streaming platforms and their hunger for content that can draw a dedicated audience.
Right. Think about it.
Yeah.
Places like Max, they're constantly searching for shows with a built-in fan base.
Yeah.
Something that can generate buzz and attract subscribers.
Right.
The Snyderverse, with its passionate and vocal following, would seem like a perfect fit.
I think so.
Hit that like button if you'd subscribe to a Snyderverse streaming channel.
It's an intriguing possibility.
Isn't it?
Imagine a limited series
Yeah.
diving deeper into those unresolved storylines
Oh, yeah.
from Zack Snyder's Justice League.
So much to unpack there.
Right.
Yeah.
What about exploring alternate timelines? Or even focusing on characters who didn't get their due
Right.
in the original films?
Yeah.
The potential is vast.
It is.
And let's not forget about the whole concept of Elseworlds stories,
Right.
something that DC Studios seems to be embracing.
Yeah, no, that.
These are narratives that exist outside of the main DC continuity,
Right.
allowing for, more creative freedom
Yeah,
and experimentation.
for sure.
The Snyderverse could potentially thrive in that kind of framework, existing parallel to whatever James Gunn is building with the new DCU.
Right, exactly.
It could be a way to satisfy both, the SnyderVerse fan base and those who are eager to see a fresh direction for the DC cinematic universe.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
A win-win.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
It does.
But before we get too caught up in hypotheticals, let's delve into some of the concrete plans that Snyder had for his Justice League sequels.
Okay.
We're talking full-on what could have been territory here.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
And trust me, what he had envisioned was truly epic, spanning multiple films and exploring some incredibly dark and complex themes.
Oh, I love it.
Let's start with Lex Luthor and his sinister plan to form a Legion of Doom.
Okay, now we're talking a Legion of Doom with Lex Luthor pulling the strings.
Right.
Who else would have been on the roster? Give me names.
Snyder had hinted at a truly formidable lineup, drawing from the villains we'd already seen in previous DCEU films. Dr. Poison from Wonder Woman, Ocean Master and Black Manta from Aquaman.
Gotcha.
Even the Riddler.
Oh, wow.
From Ben Affleck's unrealized Batman film.
Wait, hold up. The Riddler.
Yeah.
The guy with the green suit and the penchant for cryptic puzzles?
Right.
He'd be in the Legion of Doom.
Yes.
Really?
And according to Snyder, he would have played a pivotal and rather disturbing role in Justice League 2.
Interesting.
Imagine Batman and Lois Lane on the hunt for Lex Luthor. Trying to prevent him from enacting some nefarious scheme.
Yeah.
They track him to a hidden location, but instead of finding Luthor, they encounter a completely unhinged Riddler.
Oh, that doesn't sound good. What happened? Did he finally solve one too many riddles?
You could say that. In this scenario, he'd managed to solve the AntiLife Equation.
Wow.
Which, as fans know, is basically a mathematical formula that grants its possessor complete control over the minds of others.
Yeah. It's a terrifying concept.
It is.
Sure.
And in Snyder's vision, it drove the Riddler to the brink of madness.
I can see that happening.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see why this would be a darker take on the Justice League.
Right.
So what happens next?
Well, before he can unleash chaos on a global scale, he delivers this chilling warning to Batman about Lex Luthor's true intentions.
Oh, wow.
Hinting at an even greater threat looming on the horizon.
That's ominous.
It is a tense, unsettling moment. And it ends rather tragically for the Riddler.
Oh, no.
It's a sequence that really underscores the high stakes and bleak tone that Snyder was going for in these sequels.
Yeah, intriguing but seriously dark stuff.
Right.
And speaking of dark, remind me again how Lois Lane figures into all this.
Right, yeah.
Well, she becomes the tragic catalyst for Superman's downfall.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around the idea of Superman falling under Darkseid's control.
Right. Well, Lex Luthor, with his cunning intellect and knowledge of the AntiLife Equation, he realizes that simply killing Superman won't achieve his goals. He needs to break him.
Right.
To control him.
To make him his puppet.
Exactly. And to do that, he needs to exploit Superman's one true weakness. Which is...
his love for Lois?
His love for Lois, right?
Right.
That's classic supervillain manipulation.
It is.
Target the hero's loved ones, exploit their vulnerabilities. And twist them into a weapon against themselves.
Right.
It's a pretty effective strategy, to be honest.
Yeah, it is.
But how exactly does Luthor orchestrate Lois's death?
That's where Darkseid comes in. Luthor, realizing he needs more firepower to take on Superman directly, forms an alliance with the tyrannical god, essentially offering him a roadmap to Earth's subjugation. Together, they orchestrate a devastating attack that results in Lois Lane's death.
Okay, that's just cruel even for supervillains.
Yeah.
So Superman, consumed by grease and rage, becomes vulnerable to the AntiLife Equation.
Exactly.
That's how Darkseid takes control.
It's a heartbreaking moment.
Yeah.
Witnessing Superman, the symbol of hope and strength, succumb to despair and manipulation.
Wow.
It sets the stage for a truly apocalyptic scenario.
Well, this all sounds incredibly dramatic.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, I'm a little skeptical.
Okay.
Wouldn't Superman, even in his grief-stricken state, be able to resist the AntiLife Equation? He's Superman, for crying out loud.
It's a fair point.
Yeah.
But remember, Snyder was interested in pushing these characters to their absolute limits. Exploring their vulnerabilities and the consequences of their choices.
Right.
He envisioned a Superman stripped of his hope. His spirit broken by the loss of the woman he loved. in that state of vulnerability, the AntiLife Equation would have been incredibly potent.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
But wouldn't that make for a rather depressing Justice League movie? Where's the hope? Where's the triumphant victory?
But that's where things get interesting.
Okay.
Remember, this was only the first part of a planned trilogy.
Right.
Snyder had envisioned a redemption arc for Superman. A long and arduous journey back to the light.
I like it.
And that journey would have involved a desperate resistance led by Batman, the arrival of Green Lantern, and ultimately a final showdown with Darkseid that would have united the forces of Earth Atlantis and even the Amazons.
Wow. Okay, now that sounds more like the epic scale I'd expect from a Justice League sequel.
Right.
But before we get into all of that,
okay,
I want to hear more about those unrealized plans for Man of Steel 2.
Right.
We haven't even touched on those yet.
You're right.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears and explore those for a moment.
Let's do it.
It seems like there are a lot of interesting ideas floating around for that sequel.
Yeah.
Each offering a different take on Superman's journey and the future of the SnyderVerse.
Well, don't keep us in suspense. Tell us more about those ideas.
All right, but first.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So before we went to that little break, we were talking about those tantalizing plans for Man of Steel 2.
Right.
What would a direct sequel to Man of Steel have looked like in the SnyderVerse?
Well, one of the most intriguing concepts involved Brainiac as the main villain.
Well, great, man.
Remember that whole Kryptonian Codex subplot from Man of Steel?
Of course, it felt like there was so much more to explore there.
Right.
Especially with the potential for, introducing other Kryptonians.
Exactly. Imagine Brainiac, the cosmic collector of worlds, arriving on Earth with the intention of adding Kryptonian knowledge and technology to his vast collection.
Oh, wow.
It would have been a clash of intellect and power, with Superman forced to confront his Kryptonian heritage in a whole new way.
That's such a cool concept. It's like a cosmic horror movie meets a superhero epic.
Yeah.
It totally fits with Snyder's style.
And there was also talk of bringing back those Phantom Zone Kryptonians.
Oh, yeah.
The ones who were imprisoned at the end of Man of Steel?
Right.
They could have escaped and sought revenge against Superman, blaming him for their continued imprisonment.
Ooh, a Kryptonian prison break.
Yeah.
That would have been intense.
It would have been.
So we've got Brainiac.
Yeah.
We've got vengeful Kryptonians. What else was on the table?
Well, this might surprise you, but there was a pitch that would introduce Supergirl.
Wait, seriously? Supergirl in the SnyderVerse. I'm all ears. Hit that like button if you want to see Supergirl join the SnyderVerse.
It was a concept that built upon a prequel comic that Snyder and David Goyer had written, which introduced Kara Zor-El, Superman's cousin. Her ship would have crashed in prehistoric Canada, where she'd be frozen in ice until the present day.
Okay, that's a pretty classic origin story.
Yeah.
But I can see how it would work in the SnyderVerse.
Right.
Imagine a Supergirl who's been trapped in ice for centuries.
Yeah.
Waking up in a world that's vastly different from the Krypton she remembers.
Right. And think about the potential for a dynamic between Superman and Supergirl.
Oh, yeah.
Two Kryptonians trying to find their place in a world that often fears and distrusts them.
Right.
It would add another layer of complexity to the already morally gray world of the SnyderVerse.
I have to admit, I'm kind of bummed that we'll never get to see any of these Man of Steel 2 ideas on screen.
Yeah.
It feels like a missed opportunity.
It does.
But I guess we have to move on.
Yeah.
What about those Justice League sequels?
All right.
We were on the edge of our seats before the break.
All right, back to the apocalyptic future where Superman's under Darkseid's control. Okay. Remember how we mentioned Green Lantern's arrival?
Yeah.
Well, imagine a Green Lantern who's not just a symbol of hope, but one who's deeply disillusioned by what's happened to Earth.
Okay.
He's lost faith in the Guardians, feeling they abandoned Earth in its time of need.
Right.
And is on a rogue mission to set things right.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
A Green Lantern with a bit of an edge, a rebellious streak.
Right.
That definitely fits with the overall tone of the SnyderVerse.
Yeah.
But how does he end up joining forces with the Resistance?
Well, he's searching for his missing partner,
Okay.
who disappeared on a mission to Earth shortly before Darkseid's invasion. He arrives to find a world in ruins, a Superman who's become a tyrant,
Oh, wow.
and a small band of heroes fighting a seemingly hopeless battle.
Right.
He recognizes the gravity of the situation,
Yeah.
and despite his disillusionment with the Green Lantern Corps,
Okay.
decides to join the fight.
That's interesting. Even though he's lost faith in the larger system, he still chooses to fight for what's right. It's a very human struggle, even for a space cop with a magic ring.
Exactly. And then there's Cyborg, who becomes absolutely crucial to the plan to save both Superman and the world. Remember the mother boxes?
Of course, those were pretty important in Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Well, Snyder planned to have Cyborg use his connection to technology to tap into the power of a mother box and create a cosmic treadmill.
Hold on, a cosmic treadmill?
Yeah.
That's a new one. What does a cosmic treadmill even do?
Think of it as a device that allows for time travel. In Snyder's vision, Cyborg would build this device to send the Flash back in time to prevent a pivotal event.
Which is?
Lois Lane's death.
So it's all about altering the timeline.
Yeah.
Changing those key events to prevent Superman's fall and save the world.
Exactly.
But wait, didn't we hear that Batman was going to sacrifice himself?
Yeah.
How does that fit into all of this?
It's a complicated bit of time travel logic. But here's the gist. The Flash goes back in time to warn Batman about Lois's impending death, hoping that Batman can protect her.
Right.
But as with all time travel stories, things get messy.
Yeah, of course.
The act of going back in time creates an alternate timeline. And in this new timeline, Batman realizes the only way to truly save Lois, and thus Superman, is to sacrifice himself in her place.
So Batman takes Lois's place and dies at the hands of Darkseid.
Yeah.
That's a pretty heavy twist.
It is.
But wouldn't that devastate Superman even more?
Yeah.
I mean, he'd lose both Lois and Batman.
It would be a devastating blow for sure.
Yeah.
But in Snyder's vision, this act of self-sacrifice would ultimately be what snaps Superman out of Darkseid's control. He'd see the depths of Batman's heroism, the lengths to which he was willing to go to protect the world, and it would reawaken his own sense of hope and justice.
I can see how that would be a powerful turning point in the story.
Right.
But that still leaves us with a world without Batman.
Yeah.
What happens next?
Well, with Batman gone and Superman freed from Darkseid's control, the final battle for Earth begins. It would have been a massive, epic confrontation. Uniting the forces of Earth Atlantis and the Amazons against Darkseid and his armies.
That sounds absolutely incredible. I can only imagine the kind of visuals Snyder would have created for that kind of battle.
Oh, yeah.
It would have been a cinematic spectacle for the ages.
Absolutely mind-blowing, no doubt.
Yeah.
But even more intriguing is how Snyder planned to end the entire saga.
How's that?
Imagine a 20 years later epilogue where we see Lois and Clark's son, Bruce Kent, all grown up and choosing to honor his fallen godfather by becoming the new Batman.
Whoa, that image of Bruce Kent as Batman carrying on the legacy of both Superman and Batman.
Right.
It's both heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time.
That right there is the essence of the SnyderVerse.
Yeah.
It's about legacy, about hope, about the cyclical nature of heroism. It's about finding light in the darkness and carrying on the fight, even when all hope seems lost.
You know, it's a shame that we'll never get to see these sequels play out on the big screen.
Right.
But honestly, just hearing about these ideas, these concepts, it's enough to spark the imagination.
Absolutely. The SnyderVerse may be unfinished.
Right.
But it's clearly ignited something in fans.
Yeah.
Something that continues to resonate even years later.
It really shows the power of a unique vision and a dedicated fan base.
It does.
And speaking of fans, I think it's time for us to turn the conversation over to you.
Yes. Tell us what you think about the SnyderVerse.
Yeah.
Do you agree with the choices Snyder made? What are your favorite moments from his DC films?
And more importantly, do you think the SnyderVerse deserves a second chance?
Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.
We want to hear from you.
We're always eager to hear diverse perspectives.
Yes.
And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and share this episode with your friends.
Yes, keep those discussions going.
Let's keep the conversation going.
And if you want to hear more deep dives into the world of pop culture, don't forget to subscribe to The Other Opinion.
That's right.
We're all about exploring different viewpoints.
Yeah.
And sparking those thought-provoking discussions.
Exactly. Remember, it's okay to disagree.
Yeah.
It's okay to have a different opinion.
It is.
In fact, that's what makes these conversations so interesting.
For sure.
So let's engage in those debates respectfully.
Right.
And continue to explore the many facets of the SnyderVerse and its legacy.
And on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And until next time.
Until next time.
Keep those minds open and those imaginations firing.
We'll see you soon. Yeah.